Welcome to the Business Growth Spotlight, where we shine the light and talk with business leaders from all over the world to share their insights and expertise so we can all grow together. I am your host, Heidi Schock, and I'm the co-founder of the Spotlight to Scale Accelerator, where we drive revenue for companies by making sure they are seen as the authority and go-to expert in their industry versus just another product or service. If you feel your business is blending in and you're ready to scale to the next level, then grab our Spotlight to Scale blueprint and get started at spotlighttoscale.com/blueprint. I am so excited to be bringing you my guest today. We have chatted behind the scenes and I learned so much about her, and I can't wait to share her expertise with you. So welcome, Judy Schoenberg, to the podcast. I'm so grateful for your time today.
Thanks so much, Heidi. I'm really excited to be here.
I am excited to dive in, but before we get started with your sharing your expertise, can you share with us more about you by telling us who you are, what you do, your role, and a little bit about your journey?
Sure. Hi, I'm Judy Schoenberg again, and I'm co-founder of EvolveMe with Linda Lautenberg, my co-founder, and we are a professional development company for women. And we are changing the narrative around what's possible for women at work. So we launched in 2019, right before the pandemic, as an in-person company in New York City, and we quickly became a training company that was digital. And so we work with women individually in group coaching cohorts who are transitioning in midlife. We founded EvolveMe because we went through our own personal transitions, career transitions, and we found like there were no resources for women in their 40s, 50s, and beyond to really have the next chapter. So we created the program and this coaching cohort program, the Reinvention Collective, that we wish we had. And we also partner with companies who are looking to help women level up in their roles and develop the skills they need and the community they need to advance. Linda and I have complementary backgrounds. I have a background in women's leadership development. I worked at Girl Scouts of the USA for 15 years and had an amazing career there, and really wanted to take the research that I did and put it into action, working with companies again, and individual women. And Linda had a robust career in the finance sector. So she brings that business acumen to EvolveMe. And yeah, we're a dynamic duo. I wish she was here, but she can't make it for this conversation today.
Well, thank you for sharing all of that. And it sounds like you are the dynamic duo. So thank you. That's amazing. Can you share with us the core mission of Evolve Me? I know you shared a little bit about how you got created, and it was a personal journey that got you started, which is really powerful because I can imagine the passion that you have to help women and companies with your expertise. So what is the core mission of Evolve Me? How does your company help businesses grow?
Sure. Our core mission is that we're changing the narrative around women and work. And we, especially in the last few years, right, the workplace has radically changed. And we really want to be able to meet women where they're at, no matter what age and stage they're in their careers, and help them be visible, valued, and heard in the workplace. So all of our programming really focuses around that approach. And in terms of businesses, we help them grow because we help them invest in their pipeline of women professionals. Often what happens is there's a lot of support early career, and then there's a lot of support in the senior years when you're executives, but not so much in that middle manager segment of the workforce. So we are really invested in helping women in the middle and beyond really be able to be visible, to level up in their roles, to seek out more responsibility and leadership. And in companies now, there is obviously a push for inclusion and allyship. So many companies tell us that these offerings that you have are great for women, but they're also really important for men. So when in the company setting, we do with men, as allies in a lot of our programming, which we really think is an important part of EvolveMe now too for our corporate work.
Well, I love what you're doing, and it's really dear to my heart because I'm in midlife. So I know that, as women, we're going through a lot of changes personally, both in our home life, and to have that support in the work career life is really, really important. So thank you for what you're doing and how you found the gap, and now you've created a solution to fill it. How do you differentiate yourself from similar companies or services in the space? What sets you apart?
Yeah, I'm so glad that you said that, Heidi, about how you're in midlife yourself. One of the ways that we differentiate ourselves is that we started from our own experience and our own personal challenges and stories, really focused on midlife and all the inflection points, right, that women have to navigate, which causes them often to have to, leave the workforce and transition back in. And then we started thinking about, wow, like imagine if early career women knew about some of these challenges coming down the pike and could really plan for it and could
Yeah.
learn from other women who had been there. And then, women maybe in their, their mid-career learning from like women executives and women who are more experienced. And so one of the things that is we're always evolving, right? Because the workplace is changing so quickly. So one of our approaches is really to help women from the inside out. We don't come in and say like, okay, like let's help you build your LinkedIn profile right off the bat, or let's help you, learn to negotiate better. Although we do offer those trainings, we really start where women are at, and there's so little opportunity in the workplace to really take stock of your talents, your skills, your strengths, what lights you up. So before we do any kind of skill development, we really take this self-inventory approach where we believe that career development, career evolution, especially if you're kind of thinking about getting off the linear track, it starts within you. So we believe in career evolution from the inside out. So we'll do that assessment work, and that differentiates us in the marketplace. Because not everybody wants to go there, right? And so it helps us really weed out companies and individuals who are really invested in that inner growth work. And then another way that we are differentiating ourselves as we go into 2025 is really with a life stages approach to career development. So taking into account like all of those inflection points, right? Women's careers often have to factor in caregiving responsibilities. They also have fewer role models in the workplace and face imposter syndrome and things like that at greater rates, right? So looking at like all different career stages, from early career where you're kind of launching to mid-career where you're trying to balance it all, right? You've become a parent, and then to late career where you're redefining what your purpose is, like what you want your legacy to be, how you want to, pay it forward to other, younger professionals. So we have some companies that are really excited about this approach because it appeals to so many different segments
Mhm.
of their workforce, and it also helps them have conversations across generations. One of the biggest, I think, gaps in the workplace right now is an understanding across the generations, right? Millennials are this way, Gen X is this way, and then you have the boomers and the younger set. So one of the things we're really invested in is trying to have those cross-generational conversations and mentorship opportunities for women and for men.
Yeah, this is so good. And I know that you had shared at the beginning, and I know behind the scenes we had talked a little bit about it, where it says that you help women in the midlife sector, but you are now branching out and expanding to the other age groups as well because of you want to close that gap, right?
Mhm.
And you mentioned communication, which is key because when I much younger, when I wasn't in midlife years ago, the world is just so different now than it was when I graduated college and when I was entering the workforce. And also, just as women in general, everything, there was no communication. You
Right.
didn't know what to expect in that next journey of life. Like you're one way in your 20s, and then 30s brings a whole different world. And then moving into your 40s shifts, and then 50s, both in your personal life and your relationships and in your career. So I love that you're bringing it all together and you're opening up those doors and those lines of communication so women can transition easier because they already know what's coming.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
really well said. And we're really excited about it because it is this kind of idea is gaining traction. And we want those conversations to happen in the workplace. We want greater understanding and we want that mentorship. Sometimes when we're on Zoom and we have like 200 or 300 women and men in our workshops, you can see like people say like I've never been in the same room physically or Zoom room with an entry level person and a VP or an
Mm.
SVP. Like
Yeah.
it really opens your perspective, right, to have those
Yeah.
conversations and for people to be open and vulnerable about like this was my path.
Yeah.
right? I had to step out to care for my aging parent, or
Mhm.
at a younger age, I had faced a big transition because of a health issue and I had to leave my job or whatever it is. So I think that there is an opening in the last few years because of the pandemic, and kind of we saw behind what was the scenes, what was going on, that I'd like to be a little bit more vulnerable about how your personal life impacts you. And the fact of the matter is, it does still impact women to a greater degree than men. So
Yeah, well, we juggle a lot of hats.
yeah.
And I know when I was young, like the generations about even in the 30s, they seem so old back then. So I love that you're bridging this gap and you're bringing the generations together because one, it's going to create more productivity. Like you said the word understanding multiple times, which is so true. So if we can have those doors of communication open and those lines of communication open, the entry level employees are going to understand the more upper management better and vice versa and
Mhm.
their needs, and they'll be able to have that more of that open door policy where they can have like come in and just share, listen, I'm having a day,
Yeah.
and feel comfortable that an entry level person will feel comfortable going to their upper management and not feel like, oh, they're so far away from me, I can't even have a conversation with them, and it
Yeah. And
releases that fear, right, and brings
absolutely.
in the compassion.
Yeah. And also, like, and when you talk about the bottom line, having these diverse, having greater understanding, right, leads to like having diverse perspectives and ideas. And that does contribute and impact performance and productivity and innovation and creativity and all the things that can impact businesses positively, because there's so much that the younger generation can help the older generation learn, like whether it's AI or other, tech innovations. And there's a lot of, perspective and wisdom and leadership experience and social and emotional intelligence that the older generation brings to the younger set. So there's like a lot of opportunity, I think, to even, mentor each other in
Yeah.
terms that we can leverage, right? We can leverage together.
Absolutely. And you're going to, again, increase your bottom line when everybody's feeling valued and that
Mhm.
they can contribute to the overall goal. So can you walk us through the main programs or services that EvolveMe offers?
Sure. So our signature program from when we started has been the Reinvention Collective. And we've led 10 online cohorts of the Reinvention Collective. And it is a training program that's organized around a proprietary curated method that we came up with for career evolution called the DARE method. And no pun intended, like you have to be courageous, as I was talking about before. Not everybody wants to go there and do that inner work. But we always say, like, you can't Google your way into career transition, career growth. Like, you have to spend the time and kind of dig a little bit deeper. So the DARE method stands for Discover, Amplify, Refresh, and Embark. And it goes from the internal to the external. So, for example, it's a 10 to 12 week training, and then there's live components on Zoom, and then there's also accountability groups. And you start by looking at your strengths. I was talking about that before. We really believe in women leading with their strengths rather than feeling like they have to fix all their weaknesses, right? Women are
Mm.
so prone to not applying to roles because they can't check out all the boxes, check off, and men are just like, I'm going to go for it with half of the boxes checked. So we are big proponents on really identifying your strengths and leading from there, as opposed to having to fix everything. And then finding other people that can complement, right, your gaps. Like that's what Linda and I have done in creating our business. And we really try to role model that. So we look at things like low confidence too, and imposter syndrome. I mentioned so many talented women that we work with who've had career success in the past. When they get to this point of thinking about a next chapter, they're like, where do I start? I can't do anything else. Like, I've been in this industry for so long and nobody would want me, and I don't have the technology skills to compete and things like that. So we really look at those inner voices. What are you telling yourself? What are the stories you're telling yourself? And what's so beautiful about the Reinvention Collective is that it's industry agnostic. So you have women from all walks of life, all different fields, giving each other feedback. And so sometimes you're not ready to think about things on your own. You're not ready to see yourself in a new way, but women, somebody across from you will say like, "Oh, did you ever think about this?" So it's a really communal experience, and
Yes.
women come away with other friends and colleagues invested in them for life. After we kind of go through really digging into confidence, we create pivot pitches. It's our version of an elevator pitch, your new career story. Once you have kind of settled on a new direction. And only then do we go to the external piece, which is how you're going to show up. So we dig into revising resumes, your LinkedIn profile, talking about personal branding, interviewing, networking strategies, things like that, because we want to make sure that women are able to show their best self to the world and be visible. And so often they're not. We coined a phrase called that's FOSO. So many women that we work with have a fear of standing out.
Oh,
So everything that we do, we lift it like what you do. It sounds like you're very versed in this, but really trying to promote other women, make them visible, shine the light on their accomplishments. And we work with our women who graduate from the program to really see their journey through. So we continue to promote them in blog posts. We have a How She Did It series that profiles career reinvention. So it's really a very comprehensive program, and it's been very successful. Women say it's life-changing, both personally and professionally. And for the first time this spring, we're really excited. Linda and I are both based in the New York metro area, and we're launching because we've heard this feedback from our clients that they want to meet in person. So while we reach women all across the country and the world through our online programming, we're launching 11th cohort in the New York City area at EvolveMe's co-working space in Nomad in New York City, which is a women's co-working space, Luminary. So we'll have some in-person collaboration sessions there, and then we will also have the online learning, which will be self-paced because, as we were saying, there's so many things that women are juggling. To be able to engage in self-paced learning at your own time while you're doing all the things is really important to our community as well. So we're super excited about that. And over the last few years, we've built out our corporate programming. We work with global companies that often have women are underrepresented in. So we tend to partner with technology companies and finance and sometimes as well. But we really are invested in supporting companies who really need to build their pipeline of female talent and advance them. So we often work with women's employee resource groups at companies and also partner with HR and talent development. And more we see there's allyship that's bubbling up. We will partner with, women's employee resource group, but also other affinity groups as well. Often companies want to support employee resource group chairs. We've done a lot of events for Women's History Month, in the past, and we hope to this March. And, some of the main topics that employers want us to speak to their staff around are, the voice and visibility piece, work-life harmony. That's our version of work-life balance because we believe that balance is kind of elusive. Burnout and resilience has been a major topic recently, navigating change and leading through change. And so many companies are going through change and, experiencing layoffs and things like that. And we also have created a curated negotiation framework just to help women negotiate because they face very specific barriers and challenges versus men and kind of learning to negotiate. So yeah, we're really excited in 2025 to build out our corporate work because we can have a really great impact there, especially working with large scale profile and high profile companies.
Yeah, you shared so much goodness there, like so much. Thank you for the deep dive on your programs and your services, and congratulations on the new hybrid version of your program. That's exciting. So now you're not only getting the online version, but you're also getting that in person if you'd like it as well. And which is amazing because as women, we do need community. Like for me, I'm a recovering lone wolfer. I think I'm also a recovering perfectionist. And when we're in that type of mode, we don't want to ask for help because we see that as weakness. And I love that you shine the light on women's strengths, not their weaknesses, because just as humans, I think it works for both men and women. I'll speak to women because I'm a woman, that we tend to beat ourselves up, right? Like we're not good enough, right? To be seen, or we're not as good as the next person, especially when we're moving into the career market, whether we're just re-entering, we're getting started, or wherever we are. So I love that you're shining the light on the strengths and focusing on that because we can always bring in the who's to help us in our area. We can't be good at everything, right?
Exactly.
And let's focus on what we're good at, and let's help the company that we want to move into and showcase that versus so being focused and wasting time on what's not our strength. Because again, we
Right.
can't be good at everything.
It's
Yeah, go
really,
ahead.
yeah, like you said, like focusing on our own strengths. It's about owning our value, right? And where we could add the most value, and also taking back control of our own career story. Like, forget what any employer, right, has told you about what your strengths are, right? And your title and your role. Like, this, we take people through a process that really lets them kind of take back control and say, okay, who am I really now? I'm not the person I was 5 years ago or 10 years ago. What's important to me now? And how do I want to express that? And use my talents and my values to contribute in a very specific and unique way.
Yeah, very intentional. And you're
Mhm.
empowering them to really create what they want to create for themselves. It's not up to what somebody else wants for them, it's what they want for them, but it's up to them. I really like that you brought in the confidence piece. That's where you start with them, or that's one of the opening pieces is really you do that assessment. You start with the assessment so that you can meet each person where they are because we're unique. People are unique, businesses are unique. So I love that you meet them where they are because whether you're helping a person or you're helping a business, each one is unique. It's not cookie cutter. And confidence is a big piece that I think we all need work on because whenever we're moving to the next level or trying something new, guess what? That imposter syndrome that you brought up earlier is going to show up, or the fear is going to show up, and that's okay. It's telling you that you are stepping out of your comfort zone. And if you're in your comfort zone and you're not feeling that, you're not growing and you're not going to be able to create bigger things. And that's another thing that you share. You really get them to build that confidence, believe in themselves. And because if they didn't do this work, the inner work, they wouldn't be able to go after what's actually bigger for them because they wouldn't have
Yeah.
that belief in themselves, right? So
I
by
love
working with
that.
you, they actually can create something bigger than they ever even imagined they could. So by the time they're done with this training and this process, they're actually going for something bigger than they ever imagined.
Yes. Are you sure you didn't do it? Were you a fly on the wall? Like, 'cause you just represented it so well. And yes, that's the one of the number one takeaways is the number of possibilities
Yeah.
that women take away after doing the program that they didn't even imagine
Yeah.
were possible to conjure up, like
Yeah.
in their own minds. And that's where that community comes in too. And I'm so glad that you brought up the idea of imposter syndrome really kicking in when we're thinking about change and transitions. And that's where also you feel alone, right? Like
Yeah.
Googling and you feel alone. And this, we don't believe that you should be alone doing this. You talk about being a former lone wolf. Like, we really believe that, like, actually asking for strength and is asking for help
Yeah.
is a strength. And we're trying to normalize it's okay to be in this in-between space. And guess what? It's better when we're there together because
Yeah.
we can support each other.
I have this phrase I always say, and I always say, we're better together. And you don't need to do this alone. And the fact that you bring in community is important because I like one-on-one coaching is great. And I think you offer that. And I did too. When I was doing my group program, mine was a hybrid as well. It was like group coaching. And then they met one-on-one with me for accountability once a month just to see where they are. Because again, people and businesses are unique. So everybody's not at the same place at the same time. But I love the community that you do. And I love the community that I had because they got to support each other and they got to learn from people who are a little ahead, help people who are a little like be more of a newer starter. And they got to feel value from helping and self-worth from helping others, and also felt they could go to other people who wanted to support them. And they also realized they're not alone. And I'm
Right.
sure that's one of the biggest things that's really beneficial for your women is they're not alone. When we're in it, we can feel like nobody else feels like this. Why would anybody want to hear my story? I don't want to share my drama. I don't want to feel like be that person who's the drama queen. But you're not alone. There's so many other people going through it, and by having that community and that support around you, you get the mentorship of Judy and Linda, and you also get the community of the other women that are moving through the process with you.
Yeah,
So it's beautiful.
absolutely. And we also bring in expert contributors on specific topics, like, let's say, LinkedIn and personal branding and interviewing. And all the women that we work with as expert contributors have all had career reinventions themselves because we really
Mhm.
believe if you can't see it, you can't be it. So we
Yeah.
try to role model that in the program as well. And when you talk about community, so important. And for employed women too, right? Like in our workshops with companies, in businesses, large businesses, we see the community that can be created, even when we show up for a series of workshops. So the same women are coming back, or women and men, for 3 and 4 times during the year. And then we don't like to be a one and done kind of workshop. That's not our workshop approach. So we give people tools to continue the conversations with each other. So we see that need for community too, in the work that we do with companies. But
Well, I want to be respectful of your time, and I'm looking, and I don't want to go over. I have one more question for you.
Sure.
So you touched on technology, so it doesn't have to be a long answer, but I know technology can be scary, especially in the world of AI. We're not getting away from it. It's only going to keep evolving and get bigger. So how is technology shaping the way people approach career growth and development today that you're seeing?
Sure. Great question. And we believe in EvolveMe that like AI is not going to replace people's jobs,
Mm.
but people who, or women that we work with who are not open to learning about AI and becoming a little bit proficient, the people who do know it, those are the people that are going to replace your potential jobs, right? So we feel like you don't have to be an expert, but you have to play with the latest technology tools. Like even use it in your personal life, know what they are, know what they do and what they can't do. And and be able to your biggest thing too around technology, we always like to say, is having a growth mindset.
Mm.
Right? Being open and adaptable. Adaptability is the number one in demand skill in the workplace. Being open, adaptable to learn and grow at any age and stage. And if you don't feel comfortable with technology, like ask somebody else, like either a peer or a former colleague. If you're not in the workplace now, maybe somebody younger. There will always be somebody who's like open to helping you learn. And also don't be afraid of technology in terms of it just kind of eliminating you, right? We use AI in our business, and there's limits to what it can do for sure. Some of the ways that you can kind of future-proof yourself against AI is also to develop those human capacities and that human intelligence. And so many women have that, right? Emotional intelligence, judgment, perspective, communication skills, conflict resolution skills, like all bringing that to the table, that's also in demand now because of the prominence of AI. So being like human focused and having that human intelligence is going to go a long way as well. So you have to see, the whole picture around it.
Absolutely. Connection's currency. So,
Yes.
and AI can't replace that type of connection, that
Right.
interpersonal connection. And I was speaking with somebody on the podcast who is an AI expert, and she said, she goes, don't to take the pressure off. You don't need to get perfect at AI because in 2 years, it's going to look different than it does now. So don't try to learn it all. Don't try to be perfect about it. Just like Judy said, you need to be aware. You need to know what it is, what the options are, learn a little bit about it, how can it help you? But also understanding what it can't do as well, because it's and just having the confidence and the knowledge that it's not going to replace you. But you need to be able to utilize it, because again, if your businesses want to be efficient, and the AI is the way that's helping
Mhm.
in the corporate space, and it's going to help you with your
Right.
job too, becoming more efficient, so you can spend time on the things that you really need to be spending time on. So Judy, how can we find you? How can we connect with you for our listeners?
Yeah, you can connect with us at our website. It's evolveme.work. And you'll find information there about the Reinvention Collective under our group coaching tab and also our corporate workshops. There's a lot of information there on that as well. We're also avid posters on LinkedIn. So you can connect with us there, Judy Schoenberg and Linda Lautenberg, my co-founder. And on our website, you can also sign up for our newsletter. We send a regular newsletter out, and there's other great free resources as well that are available for download. So we hope to see you there, and also you can always drop us a line. We love being in touch. So I'm at Judy@evolveme.work and Linda@evolveme.work.
Perfect. So definitely reach out to Judy and Linda. You just met Judy. You spend time with her today. You can tell she's super friendly, super personable, and full of knowledge and expertise. And she really wants to help and support. So reach out to her and you can go to evolveme.work, reach out to them and connect with them on LinkedIn, and go ahead and email them as well. And if you're driving or you can't write these down right now, you can go to the show notes where you listen to your favorite podcasts, and we'll have all of their contact information in there. So thank you so much, Judy, for being here with me today. This has been such a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Heidi. It's clear that you're passionate about a lot of these topics too. So it was really wonderful to have this conversation with you. So thanks you. Thank you so much.
It's been such a joy and such a pleasure. And if you're feeling your business is blending in and you're ready to grow your visibility, be seen as the expert in your space and scale to the next level, then go grab our Spotlight to Scale blueprint at spotlighttoscale.com/blueprint. Again, please go connect with Judy, evolveme.work, or reach out to her on LinkedIn. And we will see you on the next episode of the Business Growth Spotlight.